What is up, guys? This is Linthio coming at you today with a debut deck profile of my Gradyle Kaijus. Now, this is one that a lot of people have been requesting, and I actually really like the deck. I think it's quite an interesting one, and one that has the potential to really catch people out, so we'll get into it. One thing I will say is there are only 2 cards here in the extra deck. Now, the reason for this is, before I get into it, is simply because you only really use Gradyle Dragon. Everything else is just kind of filled up of random rank 3s and random level 8s or a level 7 or whatever. So this is the only thing you actually really need to use, and then everything else is kind of just down to you. But yeah, so we'll go straight into it. So for the Kaijus, we have the 2 Mad Flame Kaiju. This guy's pretty cool. His effect is you can remove 3 Kaiju counters anywhere on the field to destroy all your opponent's monsters. So it's a Kaiju counter, so yeah, that's what I said. So he's really nice. The fact what he's really good at is just being a 3k beta. He's just really big, and just in general, he's a really nice monster to go into. Being able to just really push for some heavy damage is quite nice, and something that I really do like about him. So then we have the 2 Sea Turtle, one of the brand new cards that came out. This guy's insane. You can remove 2 Kaiju counters anywhere on the field to negate the activation of a card, and if you do, banish that card. So even if there's a card that is a continuous spell card, it's already been activated, and you can still banish it. Like, this card is so dumb, but there's a really important thing to note, that if you already have the field spell out, and you give this to your opponent by attributing one of their monsters, if you have 2 or more, they can use this effect as well. So you need to be very careful with the way that you use this card, and that's why it's at 2. All of the Kaijus have got at 2, honestly, I'll tell you now. But yeah, so this guy's really solid. 2/2 attack, not too bad, but the 3k defense is just absolutely insane. So if you can keep him going, it's just so good. Next up, Raiden, the multi-dimensional Kaiju. Guy's here for a little bit of OTKing, being able to copy himself. It's just really nice, and in general, he's just a pretty solid card. 2/8 attack is really good, and a dark target as well if you ever want that. And then finally, we have Kamongus. This guy is just really solid as well. He really helps you slow down your opponent once you take it, because it means that you can, negate the effects, switch it to defense, and they can't attack. So it's just really nice. I really do like the card, and it can work both ways. So yeah, overall, the Kaiju's 2 of each is just pretty solid. Next up, we have 3 Gradyle Alligator. Here's where the Gradles come in. Now, this guy, in my opinion, is the best one, simply because he has the best synergy with Gradyle Impact, which I'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, 3 of the Gradyle Alligator is just absolutely amazing. Such a solid card. I don't really need to say much about it. When he's destroyed by a spell card or battle, you take one of your opponent's monsters. Really good. Gradyle Eagle, 3 of as well. Card's also amazing because it's when it's destroyed by a monster effect or battle, you can take one of your opponent's monsters. It's a stats are opposite of this guy. But the interesting thing about Eagle is it has the most attack of any of the normal Gradyle monsters. And if you feel that your opponent's going to try and destroy something, or you want to catch them by guard, you can just set this guy, and if it's destroyed by a card effect, monster effects, it's just really solid to get his effects. So Eagle's really nice. Then I'm only running 1 of the Cobra. Reason being is there aren't that many traps running around right now that destroy monsters. If you go against a certain matchup, you can side in more of the Cobras if you so wish. The interesting thing about the Gradles is that you can switch them around a little bit depending on what type of deck you go up against, because it's still a snatch deal at the end of the day. So yeah, so Cobra's really nice though. Then we have the 1 Gradyle Slime. I've just got 1 in here because of space constraints, but it means you can always you can recycle him from the grave as well. So this is why I personally only think you need a 1 of. And it's just an easy move into the Gradyle Dragon. Next up, the 3 Field Spell Waterfront. This card's really good. You want to see it as early as possible. And if you don't know what it does, each time cards are sent to the graveyard from the field, you add a Kaiju counter onto it. You can remove a Kaiju counter to prevent it from being destroyed. And also, when there are 3 or more Kaiju counters on it, you can just add a Kaiju monster from your deck to your hand. You don't even need to remove anything, but it is a maximum of 5 counters. Because if it didn't have a maximum, it would make Kaiju so crazy, so like unbelievably crazy. But this card is really good. It works really well, obviously with the Kaijus. It's the whole point, it's being in here. And yeah, I just love the archetype. Next up, we have the 3 Gradyle Impact. This card is also dumb. Being able to target 1 Gradyle on your side of the field and 1 card your opponent controls, and you destroy them. So this is why I say you use it with Alligator, because Alligator allows you to you know, pop Alligator, pop your opponent's card, and then Alligator's effect kicks in. Because it's been destroyed by a spell card, you can take one of your opponent's monsters. So normally you'll go for the back row, you'll normally hit the back row and such, so it's really, really solid card. And then if you don't use that effect, in the end phase you can add a Gradyle from your deck to your hand. Just like 3 pluses, it's just so amazing. Next up, we have 3 Owner's Seal. This is here for the Kaijus. One of the best things to do is just simply tribute Kaiju for your opponent's side of the field and play this. There's an important thing to know about Owner's Seal is the fact that if you have, for example, a Kaiju on their side of the field, but you've got a Gradyle equipped to one of your opponent's monsters, you play this, everything switches back. So they get their monster back, which is important to note. So I need to play this card quite carefully, and I only normally resort to using it when I just have Kaijus, because otherwise I'll hold on to it for a bit of a power play with later on in the game. Otherwise, I'll just use the Gradyles. Don't really need to say too much about terraforming. It's kind of pretty obvious. You know, you want to see your field spell as quickly as possible. 2-part duality. You don't have to special summon. If you do play this, you can't special summon the Kaijus to your opponent's side of the field. It's kind of obvious. But yeah, 2-part duality is just for a bit of consistency. Creature swap is a really nice one. You can give your opponent one of your Kaijus. You take their monster, and then you can attack into it, and then, you know, carry on doing your shenanigans. So creature swap doesn't target a monster, which is really important to know. So you can get around horrible things like, you know, your Cosmos, Dark Destroyer, anything like that. Next up, we have 2 Gradyle Parasites. This card's really, really good. Being able to flip it when your opponent attacks and then special summon a Gradyle if you don't have any. It's really solid. And also, being able to allow your opponent to reborn their monster is also really good, because then you can just take it. So yeah, that's a pretty good one if you ask me. Gradyle Split, only playing 1. It's a pretty alright card. I do like it because it does give you an extra 500 attack, and you can technically just take your opponent's monster with a Gradyle and then tribute it off this effect. So yeah, it's kind of, you know, it obviously works with Cobra, hence Cobra's on the card. But the times that I've had it, it's kind of just been a bit lackluster at times. So that's why I've only got it at 1, and it might even be cut altogether. 2 breakthrough skill, just to stop any effects that we don't like, mass removal or such like that. Breakthrough skill is pretty solid card choice, and you can also use it if you want to negate your the Kaijus before you switch them, anything like that. The 1 solemn warning, you know, just to control the field a little bit. Important card for the deck, skill drain. I think this card is just so good in the deck. You don't really need monster effects. You can negate your Kaiju effects all you want. You've still got big beaters on the field. You're still minusing your opponent. Oh, it's just so good. Excuse me. Having the skill drain is just really, really good. So, yeah, that's why it's in there. The 1 bottomless, just to stop any pendulum summons or any monsters that we don't particularly like. And then finally, the 1 vanity's emptiness, because, you know, there's nothing like taking your opponent's monster, Gradling it, and then switching the special summons for your opponent off. So that is it, guys. As I said, I'm not doing the extra deck, really. I know you might be a bit miffed off that I'm not, but to be honest, there's no real reason other than to use Gradyle Dragon, because there are others that you can use, but Gradyle Dragon's the main card, and you're not really going to be going into it, you know, any others. The important thing to know is you can loop for Gradyle Dragon, being that you get 1 out, you get another out, and then with this Gradyle Dragon, you target this, it comes back, then you just keep going back and forth. So you can just keep a constant defense going, which is really, really nice. Having a 3k attacker that can destroy 2 cards when it comes, well, it's pretty much going to be 2 cards when it comes out, is really, really good. So that is it, guys. I hope you did enjoy the deck profile. There's a couple of different ways I'm going to go with this. This could be a really, you know, an interesting deck for the format, depending on how it goes. And one of the most annoying matchups for this is Magispectors, because you know you can't target them, so your Gradles are kind of dead. But that's why you have the Kaijus in the deck, so you can just get rid of them and then kind of go ham. So that is it. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think of the deck and the archetype. Make sure to leave me a like, comment, subscribe, and I should catch you guys later for the next video.